Welcome to the Tom Bernard Podcast with the family with
co-host Catherine Brandt,
Andy Brandt Bernard,
and Kristen Burt.
Kristen Burt Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. I was thinking about you on the way in because something happened last night that was really very cool. And you living in Los Angeles and being a well-known person in Los Angeles, you go through this all the time. Alex's daughter, Fawn, there was a fundraiser kind of deal.
It was a
There's
fundraiser.
Alex.
That's what it was.
A fundraiser for, oh no, Fawn's here. I was talking about being at the thing last night, Alex.
Yes.
Bingo.
And
Oh, no,
it was,
I don't have my thingy on. I'm so used to it being attached to my...
maybe you should get here on time
I
then.
have 2 children.
Yeah, so do I.
It's Target.
It's their fault.
It's Target's fault.
I did a drive-up order, and I was the only person in the whole drive-up thing, and I was sitting there for like 10 minutes.
Did you tell him you were on your way?
I did. I sure did. And I told him that I was there even before I pulled into my spot. So anyway, you're talking about the bingo.
Okay, I won't eat the pit, I promise.
Oh,
Okay, so anyway, I get this out very quickly. So, there was a deal for something that Fawny's involved in last night, so we went to this gathering.
Say it's her dance studio. I just don't want you to say the name.
Okay, dance studio. And then we, they, just hung around with a lot of different people. What I really noticed, and Kristen, I want to know, you get your take, of living in Los Angeles is a whole different deal. I met all these people, some former, listeners, some people who listen now. Everybody, it was just about bingo. It was about supporting the family. Every person in that building was very friendly and very nice and all the rest of it. And at the end of the night, I walked over to this one group. It was 4 women and 1 man. And I said, I just want to come over and thank you for the experience. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, in my business, you're around a lot of very famous people and some kind of famous people, very wealthy people and some kind of wealthy people, and people who think they're famous and people who think they're wealthy. It's a whole different experience being around just everyday average people who just got a great attitude. And so I thanked them. It was a great time because nobody had to tell me how wonderful they were or what this is all about. You must go through that a lot, I would think.
I actually don't.
Don't you really?
Surprisingly, yeah, no, I was just thinking about this. I went to the Countdown premiere, which is going to be on Amazon Prime beginning next week, so June 25th. And, obviously Eric Dane was there and Jensen Ackles, they're the stars of the show. But I was there with a group of entertainment reporters and publicists, people who are all very successful in the industry. And it was such a low-key, fun night. I just think it's who you surround yourself with, honestly, and just that the ones that are self-important, I have long ago let them go from my life. I don't even attend those events or anything else like that. So when I'm attending like a big Hollywood premiere, anything else like that, I make sure that I'm in really good company.
These people were just so friendly and nice and just wanted to come over and say hello. And
They were playing bingo for charity. These people are not going to be jerks.
no, I suppose that's true.
Well,
yes.
a lot of
love
people were there to
bing-
just play bingo.
Oh, were
That's
they?
what I was going to say. I would go for the bingo. I love bingo.
We got skunked, man.
We did.
got nothing.
We got shut out. So, again, for all of you who listened to the show, they mentioned last night, thank you. You gave us a great night. It was a lot of fun. The only brush off we got the entire night, and we got brushed off hard, was by the little girl sitting in front of me right now.
By phone.
Brush you off?
Oh yeah, when she's
brushed
around
us
her
off with
kids,
her
she
buddies.
turns. When she's at that age when she's around her friends, she does not want to look at us or acknowledge our existence.
Yeah.
Or
What do you think of that?
I remember those days.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm with my friends.
They came to support you, and you didn't hang out with them?
No, she wouldn't even look at us.
you were the exact same way.
I know.
You get
No,
around
I
your
know.
friends and you
Absolutely.
just were like.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
why I like to embarrass her. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
do you like the way I dance, Fawn? She's always like, rolling.
I do the same
The
thing.
embarrassing grandparent.
Oh, I'm going to be the most embarrassing.
I'm the embarrassing mom, too. I like sing all the time, and she's like, Mom, stop. And I'm like, louder? Okay.
Does she have the eye roll down yet?
Oh,
I
boy,
promise
does
I
she
will.
ever.
She does usually more of a glare.
Who,
She's got
Fawny
the eye
glaring?
roll, too. She's
No, she
doing it
eye
right
rolls
now.
you.
She's practicing right now.
No, she's glaring at me. Yeah, exactly. This
But I
is the
think it's
glare I'm
important
talking
when you do run into a bunch of people who are just very pleasant and go out of their way to be nice and just love to have you around and all that. It was such a great night. It was wonderful. We got hammered, as Catherine said, at bingo. We didn't even come close.
We did not
No,
drink.
When you said hammered, I was
Drinking.
like, were you
No.
losing it up all night?
Super wasted on beer,
Not that
on
kind of
craft
hammered.
beer. Got just
How
smashed.
about we got smoked? Can't say that either, I suppose.
Destroyed. Destroyed.
I would put smoked more than hammered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sort of
Yeah.
game.
Yes.
Smoked, I would get. Yeah.
Yep.
But it was a very fun night, so I want to thank everyone who was there and everyone we met. It was just so much fun and very easy. It wasn't about, hey, look what I'm doing, or what are you doing, or why don't you change this? But it was just about a human to a human. It was wonderful.
That's fun. Yeah. What I don't understand about bingo is they call 3 numbers and somebody's always got bingo. I just don't get it. How
I
is it
will say
possible?
this was my 3rd week going, because we have every Thursday in June is like 20% of the proceeds goes to our booster club, and this was the only week that I was like, already? Like what? Like people got
really?
bingos really quick this week. Yeah, it was weird.
Okay, and one closing comment. What was the name of the place again?
9 Mile Brewery.
9 Mile Brewery. There are a lot of those new breweries that have cafes and the food's really good and all that. That pepperoni pizza was one of the best I've ever had.
It was loaded with
Wasn't that
pepperoni.
good? Fonnie agrees. That was
Yes, their
fantastic.
pizzas are really good.
I've
And they
never-
just opened their kitchen like a month ago.
Yeah.
I've never
They're-
seen that much pepperoni on a pizza.
There was a lot of pepperoni, but I just wanted to open the show with how happy Catherine and I were, and everybody in the family was. Just really, everybody there was very nice. Nobody was being a pain in the ass. People came over to say hello who listen now or used to listen or whatever. It was just very nice. So thank you.
That sounds great.
It is.
Yeah.
So what's going on in Hollywood where no one's nice to you?
Oh, everyone's nice. Most of the people are nice. I hang out with my girl gang is really great. I always appreciate
Good.
them.
Good.
Yeah. Today is officially we talked about this last week, but for everyone who has been dying to watch Jaws again 50 years later,
Oh, God.
tonight
boy.
is the night that it will be on NBC, the 3 hours plus the introduction by Steven Spielberg. So happy Jaws Day to everybody.
Happy
To all who
Just-
celebrate.
Just in time
To
for
all.
beach weather.
Happy Croissant Day to Alex, apparently. Nice background.
I just had a croissant. It's great.
You didn't bring me
What?
one? What kind of daughter
Yeah,
are you?
what kind of daughter are you? So I'd like to know.
Sorry. Yeah. I spent $30 on 3 croissants.
croissant.
And
It's
a
amazing.
iced coffee. So
Yep.
Well, there is that. So
Yep.
no, what is it called again? Happy Jaws Night, or what is it?
Happy Jaws Day. Well, Jaws will
Jaws
be
Day.
on tonight, 3 hours with an introduction by Steven Spielberg. It's on NBC tonight. If you don't have NBC and you're thinking, how the heck am I going to watch this? It is already streaming on Peacock. So you'll be able to watch that plus all of the sequels that followed on Peacock all month long.
You know,
Right.
it's kind of affecting me already a lot more than I thought it would. But as a 4-year-old boy in downtown Minneapolis, my father had a really good job at the time. We had the first television in the apartment building. So people would come over to our house to watch television because we were the only ones that had a TV in the entire building. And now, all these years later, it'll be one of the last TV shows that I'll be watching, and then that'll go away. TV is dropping like a rock.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of called it a few years ago because
Yeah.
we've been talking a lot about the drop off of content, and especially with the strikes and everything else. Like everyone just really tightened their budget, they tightened their staff. Shows that used to staff, say, 13 to 15 writers are now only staffing 3 to 5 writers. So
Yep.
even television show writing staff, much
I don't know.
smaller.
I've
So-
always wondered if like having that many writers is necessary. There's a such thing as too many cooks.
Well, I don't think people realize that oftentimes writers are on a team. So if you're on like a procedural, let's just take like SVU, you are writing a week's episode and another team is writing the next week's episode. Now it's going to be required that this team of 3 to 5 is writing all of the episodes, and you may see a quality dip because when you have a team working specifically on one episode, they have time to fact check, they have time to research to say, is this authentic to the police investigation, aspect of a crime? And I think it's going to be more rushed and things like that. So yeah, I think it does impact it, and you'd rather have a bigger staff to keep it more realistic.
Kristen, this morning I was watching television, and it kind of blindsided me because I don't watch that kind of television on either side. CNN and MSNBC are going to cut 90% of their staffs.
They don't have any They don't have any viewers.
Yeah,
They
no
have
one
no
watches these
viewers
things.
anymore.
Well, they were siphoned off of NBC Universal, and now they're
okay.
a new company called Versant.
Right.
So they're under that umbrella, and not CNN, but MSNBC
Yep.
is. Yep. And then CNN, of course, we have Warner Brothers also doing the same thing. So
Right.
Discovery and CNN are being siphoned off as part of a cable channel, and then the rest of like HBO is being set aside for streaming and Max, and HBO will likely be bought by one of the major streaming networks. And I'm going to say,
Yeah.
if I'd be surprised if Amazon Prime or Netflix doesn't buy up HBO within the next 2 years.
But they're going to cut 90% of both staffs? My God.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we're at. Technology disrupted the entertainment industry, and it was fun for a while because there were big budgets, but then they realized that their business model didn't work. Streaming is not a profitable business in general. So
No.
you've taken away broadcast TV, which for years was extremely profitable from everyone from the lighting, the gaffer, people working behind the scenes to the actors and the networks themselves. Now streaming is not profitable. People aren't making the residuals. It's decimating Hollywood, and that's where we're at. And it also disrupts, the news business and Google. On top of all this, we've been talking about AI like ad nauseum, but if you go on a Google search, you're going to get an AI search bar instead, and it's going to give you the bullet points of all of the different journalistic sites writing about that topic, and then it'll spit out a couple of paragraphs.
I have to say,
Now-
technology disrupted the entertainment industry is not nearly as catchy as video killed the radio star.
Yeah, that's true. That's very
Video
true.
killed the radio
Yep.
star.
Well, we're killing the video star now.
Yeah, we are.
So I mean, what would be the new thing?
It's kind of
Streaming
funny.
killed the video star.
A few.
Everyone's putting their money into YouTube. That is
Yep.
where all the money is going right now.
Well, actually, I
Amazing.
think didn't they make like a updated version that is about the video star going away?
Who?
I'm trying to think. Someone.
Someone. Okay.
Yes, someone.
I just had a rough a few weeks ago when this all popped up, because radio is failing miserably. Radio is dropping like a rock. I didn't know it'd go that quickly. Broadcast television is dropping like a rock. Local news agencies are having a
Journalism
really
is
hard.
dead, and
It is.
the next 2 years, we're not even going to be able to keep our jaws off the floor, honestly,
Oh, here it
because
is.
with the way it's all going.
Robbie Williams in 2009 released an album called "Reality Killed the Video Star,"
Oh yeah, Robbie Williams.
Yeah.
I forgot about Robbie Williams.
and now reality is kind of on its way out, isn't it?
Yeah, reality struggle, and I think it was eye opening when we had the strikes here in Los Angeles. The last time we had a strike in 2008, reality shows took off because we're like, okay,
Yep.
great,
Yeah.
you don't need a writer,
Yeah.
and we can make this all happen. That did not happen because immediately the networks were like, we're just gonna tighten all the budgets all around, whether it's unscripted or whether it is scripted. And the industry, we talk about Los Angeles, but honestly, the entertainment industry as a whole has not recovered, especially here in the United States. We're just losing out to all of the UK's
Yep.
extremely generous tax incentives.
No, I remember when we had friends that were writing for the local newspapers in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I remember them starting to lay off and lay off and lay off, and it was like, that's because digital content. They had to go digital, and they just
Right.
wouldn't
Yep.
do it.
Yep.
I think sometimes the arrogance of an industry.
Well, I think a lot of it is just like the people in higher positions are usually like 60 plus. And
they
they've been
can't
in the
pivot.
business for 30, 40 years. And they're like, this is how, we've been successful doing this for the past 3 decades. Why should things change? But that's not a good attitude because things do change.
Well, they're probably just trying to hold on until they can get their pension and they can get out.
That
But
too.
I mean,
Not
yeah.
thinking about the next generation. You're like, well,
No.
we should try and make this as good as we can for the next generation.
Yeah, I remember thinking newspapers did it to themselves because they could have gone digital a lot
Yeah, they
earlier.
could have, yeah.
And they
it's
also,
text. It's very easy to go digital. It's just text. Put it on
I
a
know-
website. There
I
you
know,
go.
But they wouldn't do it. They
Yeah.
wouldn't do it forever. And same thing with radio stations. If they would have pivoted right into podcasting,
Yep.
they could have They could have been around a lot longer, but they
Well,
just won't do stuff.
I'll give you an example. KQRS was the highest rated morning show in the country. It now has an almost zero share, and it was all because of the stupid decisions of Cumulus management. They destroyed the place because they had no vision.
And now the leaders in terms of podcasting are YouTube and Netflix. Netflix is investing in podcasting as well. Netflix is, I think people really need to realize, and we talked about yesterday how they're starting to absorb the broadcast channels, with their TF1 in France. They want to be a one-stop shop. That's exactly what they want to do. They want us to watch broadcasting, comedy specials, scripted, unscripted, your news all in one hub, and they're going to succeed at doing it because they're always the first ones there.
We better take a break here because we got to get a couple of breaks in, and we got to get Kristen out on time, and it's already 10 minutes to 11. Oh, my God. We'll be right back in a couple minutes more with Kristen Burt right after this. From Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. What's up, Allie?
Oh, not much. Doing my usual thing of telling people they shouldn't be texting and driving. In Minnesota, you can't have your phone in your hands. You can use, hands-free, but you can't have your phone in your hands for whatever reason. And that's why they made the law the way they did, so that police officers could see a phone in your hand and you got no excuse for why you got it there.
Do people know that that's the law?
I hope so. I mean, they used to follow it, and then kind of COVID kind of made people forget, and now it's like a freewheeling world out there with cell phones.
Let's say you get pulled over because you do have a phone in your hand and you're not watching where you're going. You got to be in pretty big trouble then, I would guess.
Well, the first one's not as bad. It's the multiple ones, the problem. And once people start stacking them up, then they have a big problem. And then what we're doing in car accidents is we've started bringing motions for punitive damages, because I'm trying to use the civil law any way we can to stop this, because it needs to stop.
Whenever I'd had any problems in my life, who was that I called again? It was like an MB, something like that.
Bradshaw and Bryant.
Let us take a second to talk about my bank, North American Banking Company. As a business owner, you're always looking for opportunities to grow, and that's where North American Banking Company can help. Their business banking team offers tailored solutions, whether you're expanding your team, opening a new location, or upgrading equipment. Because they're locally owned, loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities, which means faster approval and more flexibility to meet your needs. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, why not bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Visit nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Kristen Burt Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. What else is happening? Anything good happening in the world, Kristen?
There's plenty of good happening in the world. You just have to find it.
Yep, you do. You have to look for it.
We have to seek it out, unfortunately, but it's definitely there. That's the good news.
Thank God for that, because it just, that was a very, I know we had to have the conversation, but it was very depressing. All the things you did as a child are going away. All of them.
That's how it always is.
But
Yeah,
hey,
it is.
you got into podcasting ahead of the curve, so maybe
That's
pat
true.
yourself on the
That's
back
true.
for that.
Yep. I suppose that is it. And it's one thing about getting into podcasting early on, the family's always been involved in it, which makes me very, very happy. I love having my family around, which I know is unusual for people these days.
We can thank Lindsay Basham for this.
Yeah, Lindsay Basham.
Yep,
Was her
she
idea.
was the first one that I ever heard talking about podcasts. She's like, you should get into that. You should get into it. Tell Tom you should get into that. I told you, and you got into it.
And Ralph, well,
She's
you
a
remember Ralph
pioneer.
Basham. You remember Ralph
I
Basham,
do.
didn't you? That's his wife.
I had coffee with Lindsay and Ralph.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Yeah,
I
they were
forgot.
here out in California, and
Yep.
Ralph gave me a call, and he's like, come meet us for coffee.
Yeah,
So
because
we
they're-
had a lovely little coffee
Daughter lives out there still?
No,
Son
she
No, her son
lives
lives
in
she
Denver.
lives in Colorado, and their son lives in California.
Oh,
So
okay. It's okay. Yeah, I thought it was the other
Yep.
way around for some reason.
It was during the holiday season. I feel like it was like 2021 or something like that. It was
and
nice.
they just moved to Nevada.
Hey, they're
Yep.
almost my neighbors.
Yep, almost.
Close enough.
Yeah.
There you go. There's no question about it. Oh, by the way, I want to thank everybody. Our downloads have gone through the roof. Thank you very much for that. I'm sure it's because of Kristen Burt, but
I don't know about that, but I think it's you.
But thank you. That our listenership is really growing and very quickly. So we do appreciate it. No question about it. So what else is happening?
Oh, lots of things. Let's see. Should we talk about the JFK Jr. Carolyn Bessette Kennedy controversy?
What?
I don't
There's a
know.
controversy.
I didn't
There's
know.
a controversy. So Ryan Murphy, he loves to do all of those, like, let's take a look back at pop culture moments like Gianni Versace's murder, and that makes a scripted show out of it. He did Dahmer,
so good.
he's done all of these. He is doing American Love Story based off of Carolyn and JFK Jr.'s romance and obviously tragic death. Of course, he did not get any sort of sign off from the Kennedy family, so they're pushing back. I know, which seems to be, they're public figures, so he's allowed to do it. But at the same time, I just probably would have signed off on something with the family. But the other thing is that he put up some test images. And for people who don't know what test images are, it's a color and lighting test. So you throw the actors in their wardrobe and go, okay, is this lighting going to work with this shade of blonde, that type of thing. And Ryan got super excited and put the photos out on his Instagram account. And I guess it wasn't the exact wardrobe that they were going to be using for Carolyn Bessette, which is the actress Sarah Pidgeon is playing her. They just kind of took some random haphazard things that looked like something Carolyn might wear. But I think what he forgot to realize is that Carolyn Bessette Kennedy's considered a fashion icon, and still people are obsessed with her. And they were like, she would not wear this cheap Zara skirt. And people had an absolute meltdown over this.
Wow.
Yes. And the show just started filming this week. And I'm like, it is going to be a very long production and very long till we see it. But people are already very precious about their JFK Jr. And
Who's playing him?
Paul Kelly. He's a
Paul
newcomer.
Kelly. Is he extra handsome like he was?
He is very handsome.
Okay.
Yes.
He was
And I
very
would say
handsome.
he looks more to me like JFK Jr. than Sarah Pidgeon looks like Carolyn Bessette. I did agree. I will say that her hair color was completely off. So I was like, hopefully they fixed it in this whole little brouhaha, because she was like a bleach blonde and Carolyn Bessette was kind of like a Manhattan blonde, which is like the darker roots,
Yeah.
the lighter
Right.
shade of blonde.
Yes, of course. Manhattan blonde. I know that.
A Manhattan
there you
blonde
go.
is, it's almost kind of like a toffee color is what a Manhattan blonde is. It's subtle. It's not a California blonde.
Now you
So,
know, Andy.
Now I know.
Now you know.
You want to get all dolled up. There's no question about it.
For
It is
sure.
true. No question. So, are there any? It's really kind of weird because you used to know back in the day when it was broadcast television. Hey, we got a new show starting in a couple of weeks, but there's so many streaming services now. You can't possibly stay with all the new. Well, I guess in your business you can. But
Yeah, it's hard for me to watch every single thing,
Well,
and
yeah,
it's kind of like
yeah.
what I get assigned to watch and cover, that type of thing. Also, not everything interests me, but we're also at a time of year, less scripted will be coming out until
Yeah.
we hit the fall. If you're into docuseries, this is your your
Yeah.
time to shine.
Yep.
There's so much going on, a lot of really fascinating topics. Alex, for your kids, they've got Frozen, the Broadway musical, is dropped today on Disney Plus.
Oh, really? Oh, fun.
Yeah, they filmed the West End version, and they have it on Disney Plus. So it's
Oh, we'll totally
kind of
watch
fun weekend viewing.
that. Nice.
magnificent. All right, now I know you got to go in about 120 seconds.
120 seconds.
Well, we got to keep it on
Very
time.
specific.
Specific.
He's so obsessed with my timeout.
Yes, he
Well,
is.
but we were a
He's
few minutes
obsessed.
late last time, and you looked like you were
That's
stressed
okay.
out.
I don't have I don't have a boss breathing down my neck going,
No, he's-
you were here at 9:06.
He's got an inner radio clock that he just
I
will
do.
never
He's just
get
obsessed with
rid of.
time
He's
in
always
general.
trying-
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to get in trouble. I will tell you if I have a hard out for something like, hey, I've got to do an interview at 9:15. That's one thing, but on a
okay.
normal day, it's okay. No one's going to yell at me.
I wanted to make sure with the situation.
remember
I
when we used-
appreciate that.
Remember when we used to have a shot clock in the studio?
Oh,
It's like, this is a podcast. We
Horrible.
don't have to do this.
Yes, we do.
ridiculous.
You
I
could
remember,
not
yeah.
let it
I remember
go.
having that
It was
thing. And
very
I had to,
large.
Yep.
Yes.
It was
Because Dad was so
like
obsessed.
in school gyms where they'd have those
Yeah.
clocks. Yeah. I
Yes.
bought one of those and I mounted it to the wall.
Yeah,
Made him very
he
happy.
was
Yeah.
so obsessed with exact
Yeah.
timing.
You get to
of
relax
everything.
now.
It's like,
You're in a
Highest rated show in America
podcast
is all I
after.
know.
I've
God
been
must be my
doing
brother.
this for 74 years.
Yeah, and I work from home. I don't work in an office, so I do not have to go to my little cubby and write.
Yep.
I
Kristen,
go on
could
my
you-
couch. Sometimes I write from my bed. Sometimes I
Right.
write from the desk.
Whenever,
Yeah.
wherever you feel like
I
it.
know it's a
Cats
long
pile
way,
on me.
but could you do me a favor? It's a long way, but do me a favor. Would you come and pick up Alex and Catherine and get them the hell out of here. Attacking me on the show.
Attacking. It's called good-natured teasing.
A
Tom.
little
is that
ribbing.
what
It's
it
called
is?
ribbing. We're just
Oh, it's
Yeah.
ribbing.
ribs.
Yeah, well, no question about that.
Can't you take it?
We should, as a former resident of this state, should point out Catherine and I yesterday went outside to walk the dog, and we both went, "What the hell is this?" Oh, that's right, it's summer.
It just yesterday at noon.
It was
It
just
became
boom.
summer.
It became summer.
It
Yeah.
just became summer. It
it's
had been
true.
raining
Well, just
and
in
cold.
time. Isn't
Yep.
it summer solstice?
Yep,
Yep.
it is.
Yeah, is that today or tomorrow?
Today, I
It's
think.
Yes.
20th.
Yeah.
Today,
Yes.
yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm on summer break. I don't know
The state
what
of
day it is.
Minnesota takes the solstice very seriously.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for real.
Well, it was like 93 degrees in the middle of May, so
Well, that's just a weird
we had a lot of weird spring weather, and then June was rainy. We had like no rain in April or May
I
hardly.
remember all those years on the farm. I was always like, June 15th. That's when it's
June
actually
15th.
nice here.
I get many messages every year from former KQ Morning Show listeners saying, "Tom, the Tom Bernard solstice is coming up," because you used to tell us it's not going to be nice until June 15th. I don't know why you get a
Not
day here, a
reliably
day there.
nice, yep.
Not reliably nice, exactly.
Well, now it's going to be almost 100 degrees all weekend. So
Perfect.
And 100% humidity.
say,
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
All right, Kristen. We'll have a magnificent weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.
See you all Monday. Have a great weekend.
Kristen Byrne Entertainment News brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Take a break. Be right back. Couple of special guests. Haven't seen them in a while. Looking
Yeah,
forward
could
to
you
it.
set the computers up for them while Dad does the
yes.
the
Thank you.
break?
Thank
Oh, you got to go anyway, don't you?
Ay, ay,
Oh,
ay.
Lord
the
almighty.
whole thing fell off.
No,
Oh, you
because
go to
they don't
11:30.
have camp because they're
Oh, that's
here.
right. They're here.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a second to talk about my bank. That'd be North American Banking Company. As a business owner, you're always looking for opportunities to grow, and that's where North American Banking Company can help. Their business banking team offers tailored solutions, whether you're expanding your team, opening a new location, or upgrading equipment. Because they're locally owned, loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities, which means faster approvals and more flexibility to meet your needs. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, why not bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Visit nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. It's Tom for Wellshire, Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities. Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities are a place where your loved one will live with pride and dignity. If you care deeply about someone in your life, Wellshire is a place I highly recommend. Wellshire is a memory care-focused facility that has a full nursing team, always staffed within the building 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have never used or relied on any staffing agencies. Wellshire of Medina is now accepting elderly waivers after 12 months of private pay. I know them personally. They are a family-owned local company, conveniently located right in Medina and Bloomington. They're the best staffed memory care facility in the state. Wellshire has a robust community with activities 7 days a week. If your loved one is in need of a memory care facility, please get in touch with my friends at Wellshire. Set up a tour or learn more at wellshiremn.com. That's WEALSHIREMN.com. Jay, Elvis, and Joel are in studio. They're setting them up. We'll be back on in just a couple of seconds.
I'm here.
Andy's here. Catherine's here.
We're all here.
God, it was such a nice thing to have you guys in on a Friday. That's all I have to say. It's a good thing. No question.
Comedian Day.
Indeed.
Here we go. Here on. They'll need headphones as well.
Yeah, Alex will have to get him headphones.
And she broke
What?
it. She's breaking everything.
What are you doing? You're a disaster.
Just hit the. Well, she can't hear me, but you know.
Okay,
There we
Catherine's
go.
thing. There, Nana's got it covered.
Joel's-
It's a podcast. This is not some, disc jockey deal. It's wonderful. How are you? It's nice to see you.
Another long break since I saw you.
I know that won't be happening anymore.
No, because I'll be gone. No,
I'll be gone. How old are you now?
69.
Okay, you're 4 years younger than me, so
Oh, yeah?
pipe down, brother. There you have it. Catherine, he needs a. Oh, you figure it out?
Yes, I think.
They're all
think
figured
we're
out.
all
I think.
figured
I think
out.
it's all figured out.
But back in the KQ days, it still went like this. People would wander in and sit down. It was never that, oh, we got to get away so people don't. It's part of the business, right?
Yeah.
So where are you guys appearing?
At Acme.
At Acme, good. Still probably one of the greatest comedy clubs in the country.
Still, it's hanging in there, isn't
Truly.
it? Yeah.
It is. How is that business now, going to comedy clubs? People got to go out to comedy clubs. They need laughs, don't they?
I think it's doing well. Neither Joel or I are really actually doing it anymore.
Yeah.
It's like Acme's kind of my gig now. It's my annual write a bunch of new material, come dump it on Minneapolis and go home kind of a thing.
So what's new? What's the latest? Because we were just talking about, Joel and I were just talking about the fact that it's been a while since we've seen you.
Yeah, it has.
And hopefully that won't happen again.
I hope not.
Well, you didn't want to be around me right after I got fired anyway. I was not in a very good mood.
No, you did not.
Poison Polly.
That would have been one of the times I would have liked to have talked to you remotely from
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Where are you in Florida?
No, I mean, you used to be
me.
in Florida.
Well,
yeah.
we still are. Yeah, we still go down there in the winter.
No, you're in Minnesota, Dad.
I remember the days of.
Oh, God.
I remember the days of KQ. Pretend like he's here.
Oh, yeah, they
Yeah.
would pretend
Oh,
like he's
Yeah,
here.
they
It's
didn't
like,
want anyone knowing that it was a remote
I don't
thing.
know why. Everybody's remote now, aren't they?
Yeah. We should do remote comedy. We
We
should do.
do kind of do remote.
Oh wait,
comedy.
that's true. Oh,
do
you
we
got
do
me
again?
there.
No, Acme. I got to get over there. I haven't been over there in a while, but we used to be in the same building. You guys
Right.
remember that? It was in the same building. It was nice, but it just, things have gotten really. We were just. I'll go through this very quickly and I'll move on. I promise. But it is starting to really make me uncomfortable because I pointed out when I was 3 years old, my father was still a very smart guy, but he ended up with mental illness and went off the deep end and died at 60 and all kinds of stuff. But our building, I would have guessed there were probably about 100 units in the building downtown Minneapolis, 1200 Spruce Place. We had the very first television in our neighborhood
Really?
when I was 3 years old. So people used to come to our house to watch the television, and there was this gigantic cabinet with a screen about this big. Right? That's how it was. I remember that. And now that's going away. So I saw it come, and you see TV, broadcast television's almost over.
It's almost irrelevant now. Yeah.
It's just kind of sad.
Well,
that was too quick for me. But
Yeah, and you see, I
went
mean,
by.
but it's like, it's a world where like a sitcom gets the same viewership as a guy on YouTube mowing lawns.
I know.
Oh yeah, it's so weird. Like kids, they just watch people play with slime.
Yep.
Yeah.
Squishing slime. I'm like, what?
The one I don't get is unboxing.
Yes.
Especially kids unboxing toys. They'll buy, an action figure at Target and go home and take it out of the box
Yes.
and get 5 million views for
You're
it.
like,
Oh,
yep, that's
God.
what it looks like.
Vicarious consumerism.
Yeah.
Where that started,
Really weird.
some child was unwrapping Christmas presents or something. Isn't that where it all started?
No, I think it started with nerds doing electronic stuff.
Oh, was it?
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely,
okay.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Like console unboxing was a big thing. Like, here's the PlayStation 5 is here. We're going to take it out and
Well,
show
that
you.
kind of
Right.
makes sense because
Kind
like
of.
there's.
I've
like,
still never watched
I
one,
mean,
but
yeah,
I
wouldn't
get it, I
either,
suppose.
but I don't know.
I don't know. You guys realize what you're missing.
My algorithm thinks
they're
I'm
fantastic.
85, so I don't see.
A lot of
There
adult
you go.
things.
Yeah.
Walkers.
Don Knotts talks about Mayberry. Oh, geez.
No, it's. I mean, the world is moving very, very quickly. No question. We just talked about the fact that a couple of minutes ago that MSNBC and CNN are cutting 90% of their staff.
Oh man.
It's just.
Did not know
it's,
that.
Oh yeah, I just found that out like yesterday. And that, even though I don't watch CNN or I don't watch any of the
Right.
cable
Why
news
would
kind
you?
of deal, it leans too far either left or right. And it's
Truly.
just like, God, is anybody in the middle anymore?
But just like the sort of wholesale dumping of critical thinking that our society is doing right
Yep.
now. Like how many people go, I can't watch the news. Good time for it. Really good time for that.
It is. I've never watched the news, and it's great.
You never have been a news watcher, have you?
Never in my life.
Nope, me neither.
The news of the world is none of my business. I like to live just ignorant.
I live like a medieval
blissfully.
peasant. If it doesn't happen within walking distance of me, it doesn't exist.
I think that's a T-shirt. Live ignorant.
Live ignorant.
I like that.
It's great. I love it. It's fantastic. I
Probably
just
is a
live in
good
my
t-shirt.
little
They
bubble.
say it's bliss.
and
They do say it. I have,
Truly, I can attest.
A walking example.
No?
Yes.
There you go.
I'll give you another example. My mother, because we lived in North Minneapolis on Plymouth Avenue, watched the news every night because it was all local.
Right.
Yeah.
All the crime was in my neighborhood. So she's like, oh my God. Mom, why are you watching? So I got to know who's where and what's going on.
It's like watching a movie that was produced in your city. Hey,
Right.
I know that place. I used to live right next to there.
That's exactly right.
I was just talking about Purple Rain last night on
Oh,
stage,
yeah.
and just like how this whole city lit up. It's
Yeah.
like made us look cool, made it look like black people are happy to live here. It was like,
That's a good way to put it, actually. I don't want to talk about this stuff, but we've gotten to the point now. Oprah is saying that black people in America have it harder than anyone in the Middle East.
Not Oprah.
come
Whoopi.
on.
Not
Whoopi.
Whoopi.
It was not Oprah. It was Whoopi. That's
Whoopi
Sounds
makes
more Whoopi.
sense. Yeah.
Sounds more Whoopi than
Whoopi
Oprah,
makes
but-
sense.
Yeah, it does sound more Whoopi than. But
Makes
why
perfect
would you
sense.
say something like that? Why do you want to stir the pot
we're
that much?
Still
I know
talking
why.
about it days
Why?
later.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
It puts
Because
us
we're
on the
still
map.
talking about it. That's
Yeah.
true. That's
The
a very good point.
rage bait works.
Yeah. It's so weird to think of her as Guinan in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Isn't it?
I suppose that's true.
Because she's like, in real
Preach.
life, she is the exact opposite of Guinan. Guinan was like, very sage and very quiet. Not in real life so much.
Acting.
Acting.
Yeah, it's all acting.
Genius.
It's no
Stretch.
question. And speaking of that, all those people that said, we've had, look, I can be very honest. I haven't been happy with the President of the United States since somebody shot JFK. I got to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
Wait, are you saying you were happy
Yeah.
with that?
What?
Well,
Maybe how about the day before? How about
the day before. Yes, that's exactly the day
Better
before.
way to put
Wait
it.
a minute.
But it's just, my God, it's so far left and right and right and left. It's like, would you serve the people?
I grew up. I had a Republican father and a Democrat mother.
Ooh.
And it caused exactly zero problems.
There you go.
Because
yeah.
my father was, he decided to be a Democrat as a high school student during the Eisenhower administration. And it was all about the size of government. He was pro-choice. He
Yep.
was as liberal as they could be socially. But, they just canceled each other out of the ballot box happily and went on with their life. But
Just agree not to go vote, not waste everyone's time.
no, they still voted. They did.
Now, see, that's a wonder. Well, I give an example all the time. My mother and her cousin. My mother was very liberal, and her cousin Lamont, who was a police officer, was very conservative. They adored one another. Every time I saw, they'd hug and kiss one another, and it was always just.
Because it wasn't your identity then.
No, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
It was not your identity. Very good point. I used to hear them talking and disagreeing about things, but it never got to the point like, get out of my house.
Right.
You got a lot of that.
Now they don't let him in the house.
They don't let him in the
Yeah.
house. That's very, very true. Do you think we'll ever see a day? Because they kind of followed Hollywood's lead in that, didn't they? You should rebel. And it's like, oh, come on.
Well, honestly, I'm at a point where I think rebellion is a legit option at this point.
Well, I suppose, yeah.
I think, I believe at some point my only power is going to be being a number in the mob on the street.
Yeah. Maybe.
And it could be legit, so.
We were just talking with Kristen Bird, who does our, she lives in Hollywood, and we are talking about how time have changed. That again, we had the first TV in the neighborhood, and now we're going to have the last TV in the neighborhood because that's going away. It's just it's changing very quick. Everything within just one generation. From the time I was born in 1951, so it's coming up on the end of that generation. But it's changed so much how you view things, how you read things, how you see things, how you react to what other people say. It's all different than it used to be.
It is. Well, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just thinking, look at your grandparents. Went from horse and buggies to automobiles.
Yeah.
And airplanes.
Truly.
That's true.
But
Look how radio's changed. I don't know.
A lot.
But we talk about the 3-network world, and you can now see that there was a value to it in the sense that we all just had a common set of facts.
That's true.
Because some of them were lies, perhaps, but we were all working off the same cheat
Right,
sheet.
we lived in the same universe at least, so
Yeah.
that's
Right.
helpful.
Yes.
But now it depends on who you subscribe to on YouTube, who you follow on X and Instagram, and you create your own reality.
Yeah, I'm talking to a room full of algorithms when I'm on stage now that all have, everyone has their own set of celebrities. Remember they used to do Night of 100 Stars? Mm-hmm. And you could you knew who at least 90 of them were.
Not anymore.
I might get to 10 if they did that now.
I feel like we can trace most of this back to political ads and how hateful that
They're
they
sure
got
bad.
about, what was that, about maybe 20 years ago? All of a sudden they could just, remember the lie fact checking on political ads? Like 90% of it was all lies, but they they did it anyway.
Right.
It did.
And getting rid
And
of the
people
equal time
believed it.
provision. And,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's exactly right.
Yes.
Get rid of that.
Yes, that was a really big mistake in
I
my
will-
opinion.
Never forget the Canadian political ad that I saw many, many years ago. Sam Katz, he was targeted. He was the mayor of Winnipeg. And they created an attack ad for him. There was a video where he was I think he was playing soccer with some kids. and he accidentally kicked one of them. Oh. And so the tagline was, Sam Katz, he kicks kids in the face.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And that was when I was like, this is just bad,
It's all theater.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I will also tell you, as a teen, I guess I was maybe 12 when the Beatles broke.
Yeah.
So having television set up the way it is with the, Netflix and all the rest of it, it makes me very, very happy because whenever I watch the Ed Sullivan Channel, somehow I didn't know this, but the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan every Sunday. They're on every episode. So that's kind of a nice thing. I'm to this day a huge Beatle fan, and you got half of them are gone already. But that's a part of that kind of television I do like. You can go back and look at what used to be,
right?
Which is really, really nice.
Now, speaking
That's
of
the
which,
good thing of YouTube. You can find these things.
Yeah.
that is true. One of our listeners wants you guys to know that Blaine is having a Hard Day's Night Beatles tribute band on the 28th at noon.
The city of Blaine.
Yes.
Not the man.
Blaine Festival.
Some
Not
guy
the
Blaine.
man. Some guy
He's
named
singing
Blaine.
Beatles
Just to
songs in his
make it
backyard.
They're
perfectly
called
clear.
the Hard Day's Listen.
Also, Arthur Treachers is coming back.
What? Hello. Now we're talking news. I want.
There you go.
Fish and chips.
Can I do the intro?
Arthur Treacher is attempting a comeback after shuttering hundreds of locations
Yes.
years ago.
Years and years ago.
So,
You know who the first voice of Arthur Treachers was?
was it you?
Yes.
Really?
Really?
And I had to go, Arthur Treachers.
The original. Yeah, the original fish and chips, wasn't that?
original fish
Oh
and
my
chips.
God, I can't believe I
Arthur
remember
Treacher
that.
was the sidekick of who?
Merv Griffin.
Merv
Merv
Griffin.
Griffin? Okay,
Yeah, very good call. That's going
remember.
back a ways.
I remember.
Is he the one that started that?
Yeah, that was his namesake. Yeah.
I did not
He was a
know.
TV personality.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
know
if he
that.
was making the fish, but
No,
not.
probably not making the fish.
Why did they ever shut down if there were hundreds of them?
they sucked.
Apparently, there's one. I have a friend in Ohio. There's one left in Ohio.
Oh, is
and
that
he
right?
actually made a sojourn to it, like a 2-hour drive. And he said, it's the same. It's the same.
As of April of this year, there are 3 remaining.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
the cholesterol scare. People weren't eating fried foods there for a long
I
time.
mean, also,
because Kentucky Fried Chickens, a lot of them
They
went
went
away
down too. Yeah.
That's true. Kentucky Fried Chicken really went away. But it's like when I hear people talk about the fillet of fish at McDonald's, I just can't get over the idea of fast food fish.
Yeah.
Right.
It just,
Yep.
there's a mental block there. I don't think I would ever trust it.
Well, I think his Long John Silver went down too.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And
Same
Red
reason.
Lobster.
Yeah, Red Lobster's
Red
on its
Lobster.
last legs.
It's on its last legs, too.
It's on
And
its
I-
last crab legs.
Ah, great
Hold
minds.
your hands up like this. That's one thing about comedy that I've always loved, that you can approach and talk about all these horrible situations. You can't go over the top about it, I suppose, but some people do. But that's the one thing I've always loved about comedy is we're going to go after this, and it's going to be in a, I suppose at one time was a fun way or whatever. To this day, I still run into people go, how did you ever like Don Rickles? What a prick. I was like, that was his act. Will you calm down? I just, that's the one thing about comedy I love. There's nothing, or is it true to this day that there are some things you can't talk about in comedy?
Well, I'm someone who believes you. I mean, there isn't anything you can't talk about.
I
but,
hope, yeah.
but
Do you want an
but,
audience?
yeah, I mean, I mean, there are consequences to talking about
Yeah.
things, and the rule is always like, if it's a good joke, you're going to win. Usually, you know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
never see someone getting in trouble for a really good joke.
That's good.
It's
I'm glad to
always
hear
a
that.
horrible, bad taste, racist, you know, but it's never, like, no one can ever defend just like a solid joke because people don't get mad from a good joke because they're laughing, you know.
That's
Well, and the idea
But a
is to
bad,
turn it
and
around.
I learned this
you
growing
know?
up in my house where, like, I grew up basically where funny and serious weren't separate things; they happened at the same time.
good.
Yeah.
You know, so like a good joke was always appropriate in my house, and it could change the mood of something. Conversely, a bad joke could inflame the situation. You know?
Yeah, I can understand that.
And that's kind of how it is in a comedy club too. You know.
The thing about comedy that really is special to me, and in my particular case, it was very special. My 2 favorite comedians back when I was a kid, one was Richard Pryor, who I just adored, but I couldn't tell some of his jokes, obviously, and Don Rickles, who was afraid of no one.
Right.
I loved that about him. This little man. A matter of fact, what was the guy's name down in Miami again? Ran the mafia in Miami. Oh, what was his name? No.
Hyman Roth?
Was it? It might have been Hyman Roth.
That's
We'll go with
that's
Hyman
from The
Roth.
Godfather. But
That sounds Jewish.
Oh, what was his name? Was somebody
Meyer Lansky.
Sam Giancana.
No,
A Jewish guy. Was it Giancana?
No, it's not.
That sounds Italian.
Yeah, that's.
But anyway, Don Rickles is on stage in Miami, and all of a sudden the doors open. And he'd already about 10 minutes into his act, and he just was wondering why the doors open. And the head of the mafia wanted to come in and see the show. Don stopped the show. Andy, would you look up and see who it was?
Meyer Lansky,
Was it Meyer Lansky? It must have been Meyer Lansky.
He was-
Charles
he-
Luciano, Bugsy Siegel.
No, I think you're
Meyer
right.
Lansky
a
was
whole
the
lot of
king
them.
of the Jewish gangster.
Yeah, so that would be Meyer Lansky.
There was a lot of organized crime in Miami at the time.
Still is.
Yes.
That's true.
So Don Rickles,
Yeah.
Don Rickles stops the show, and he turns to the maitre d' and he said, "Would you do me a favor and separate these two tables in front? Not, you don't push them off too far, but could you make room for another table? Because I'd like to have Mr. Lansky sit so he can enjoy the show." They bring in a new table, they cover the table, they bring in the new chairs. It's like 15 minutes later, finally, he said, "Okay, Meyer, you good? You comfortable? Everything? I mean, you're all set? Tell you what, why don't you make yourself at home? Why don't you kill somebody?"
Oh, shit.
Now that
Did
is
he
great.
laugh?
I don't think he did. No.
But
but
Don
that's
was under
great
protection, basically.
Yeah,
I don't think a random guy can do that.
Oh, I don't think a random guy could do that.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. But that's, again, what I love about comedy. You can do things with comedy you could never do in a serious tone. I love that. You know, it's how it should be. And that's how I grew up my entire life, was looking, and Ed Sullivan was a lot of it, no question. The great comedians would come on there. I think I was 14 when Richard Pryor broke, and I went, oh, my God.
Whole new level.
Whole new level, but I was pissed off at him for his first three albums because I couldn't ask for them by name when I went to the record store.
Right.
Joel and I got to work with
were
Richard
working- I was
Pryor.
just gonna
Did you
say.
really?
Yes, we did.
Oh, God,
Where?
I want to hear all about that. Well, why don't I take a break? We'll come back. I want to hear all about that. Because, this is getting to work with Richard Pryor. I never met him. I talked to him on the phone a number of times. His children came in to the studio and did the podcast a number of times. But I still miss his comedy, man.
Yeah, I mean, he was the greatest.
We will be right back in a couple of seconds, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to us. Your customers are listening to me, and they'll hear me promote your business. The Tom Bernard Podcast attracts thousands of listeners who are loyal, engaged, and ready to support businesses they trust. Our podcast has helped numerous times increase business traffic, sales, brand recognition, but we're not just about ads, we're about results. Whether you're a local business or a national brand, we offer custom advertising packages designed to fit your unique needs and goals. Our audience spans multiple demographics, allowing you to target your ideal customers with precision, from millennials to baby boomers and everyone in between. With the broad reach of the show and passionate following, your business will see increased visibility and awareness, translating into more customers and more sales. I love this commercial. Family owned since 1933. We're talking about Jack's, an original Minneapolis steakhouse, a place to celebrate and create memories for over 90 years, just minutes from Target Field for a pre- or post-game meal. Perfect prime ribs, serving steaks, chops, and fresh seafood. You can even net your own trout from Jack's garden stream and have it prepared for you minutes later. You can enjoy happy hour in a bar, on award-winning patio Wednesday through Sunday, private party rooms from 25 to 275 people. It's perfect for weddings, groom's dinners, business dinners, or all celebrations. Weekend brunch, Saturday and Sunday. Jack's the godfather of Northeast. Oh, listen to that. That pretty woman going. Now we're
Mercy.
talking. Mercy. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Showtimes this weekend.
7 and 9:30 on Friday and Saturday.
That's wonderful. What are you doing? Why did she sneak up on me like that?
She has an hour to kill.
She's got
It's summer.
trying to keep herself amused.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
You got to keep yourself
Yes.
amused. You know, Catherine and I have lived in Chicago and New York and all the rest of it. Went to comedy shows, a lot of different places, but I still do think.
You lived in Chicago.
Well, I did.
Oh, I was like, Mom, why did you live in Chicago?
Well, no,
Sorry.
we
Collectively,
came
this is their whole
Okay,
resume.
yes, yes.
We
Sorry,
kind of
sorry,
came
sorry.
and went.
Sorry.
Well, I suppose we didn't actually live. Well, we lived
No.
in hotels in Chicago. That's the difference, I guess. I'm glad we stopped the show for that. That really worked out.
existed.
I
well.
just,
in
I just was like,
Chicago.
have I missed a part of your life that I did not know about?
Hey, aren't you living ignorant?
Let me
Yeah,
put it this
that's
way.
true.
Right. Let me put it this way. During that period, so 1987, 88 or whatever, I had to fly back and forth to do the KQ morning show, fly to Chicago every day to cut commercials, which, of course, you never do now. It's a totally different business.
Yeah.
I would have to go to Chicago sometimes every day of the week and come back home, do the morning show, leave again.
Oh, man.
So it was tough. I mean, it was great.
But you were making huge money.
Yeah, that's true. I don't bring up that
Those
part
were the
very-
days.
Those were the days, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, what were we talking about? No, I'm
We're
distracted.
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor.
Oh,
You-
yeah.
You actually worked with him?
We did.
We worked with them. A show I created, what was that, mid-'90s, called Malcolm and Eddie.
Oh, Malcolm and Eddie.
Eddie
Love it.
Griffin.
Absolutely.
And, Eddie was a big fan and got him to do a guest starring role. Did you actually talk to Richard?
I spoke to him very briefly just because
Yeah.
I couldn't go the whole week without.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah,
was
there you go.
very advanced in his MS at the time,
Very
and
rough.
he was on a
Sad.
mobility scooter most of the week and stuff. So it was there was some sadness to it, but it was still just like it's Richard. It's Richard.
Yeah, legend. Absolute.
God, no, I just shot into my head. Another thing that I can't say, thank you so much for that. He's on stage, and he's doing a bit. And he goes, I was born in Peoria, Illinois. And somebody yelled out, what's that? And he responded, it's a city, Big N. Only he didn't say Big N. The joke I've always loved, and I can't tell the joke. That's just the way it is.
Cat.
So, did it make you very sad that when you did meet him that he was disabled as he was?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was very tragic.
But you know, the last thing you're ever going to do is patronize Richard Pryor or
Well, yeah.
No.
it's
Yep.
like- Richard Pryor died the exact same day as my mother, and I really truly mourned them both that
Oh,
day. Yeah.
I could understand that, no question about it. People might not know this. Well, now a lot of people don't even know who Richard Pryor is because he's been dead for quite some time.
2005. So
Oh
yeah,
my
20
God.
years.
Years?
I'm
that
sure
long?
I'm going to hear from one of my kids later. Who's Richard Pryor?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
December 10th, 2022.
Yep.
December 10th.
That's right.
Your
I'm
mom-
coming up on 20 years.
He had that face. He just
did.
all he had to do was give somebody a look, and it
Yeah.
was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, he was just amazing.
God, he was so good, though. He did change comedy forever, didn't he?
yeah, he did.
There's no question. Are there like people in your mind that maybe in a way, and I'm not saying you idolize them, but you look toward them as a creator of things that change comedy forever? And Richard did change comedy forever.
Absolutely. I mean, he made it. He truly made it an art form. I think. You know, he
Yeah.
truly took all of these. You know, everything you could do to communicate, be
Right.
it, you know, pantomime even, you know, but there was true acting in it. There was, you know, and there was the amount of confession and revealing of dark things within him was something pretty new too, you know. So
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's this just popped into my head again. Sorry, I'm not really trying to change the subject, but it popped in my head that Don Rickles came in the old station back in the old days, and he was on a Run for Your Life episode. Run for Your Life with Ben Gazzara.
Ben Gazzara, yeah.
Ben Gazzara
Terminal
story.
cancer. Wanted
Yeah.
to live his life to the fullest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lasted a year.
Lasted 1 year. That's exactly right.
I guess he died.
So.
Yeah.
you kind of had it built in.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Don Rickles is on Run for Your Life, playing a comedian named Willie Hatch that offended people, and he got kicked off the stage all the time. The episode was called Down with Willie Hatch, right? So I was talking to, and he's sitting about where you are, and I said, I got to tell you something. I loved that episode of Run for Your Life you did. You were brilliant in that. That show was amazing, called Down with Willie Hatch, and I'm looking like I am down at the table. I looked up, and he was crying. It was so sweet. Nobody had ever told him that you did a great job. Apparently, as a comedian, yes, but as an actor, no. But he was very touched by it, the fact that I would remember that and that I really liked the episode. Isn't that a part of comedy, that sensitivity that you people have? By you people, I mean all comedians. I didn't was talking about any particular.
I mean, I think no. I don't think it's. I mean, I think first of all, Don Rickles was kind of a one of one
Oh yes,
human being.
Oh
you know?
yes, he was.
Yeah.
And I would contend, even though his reputation is a wonderful man, he also had to be a horrible man in order to do what he did.
I would have to agree with that. Yes, I
Dark
understand.
thoughts for sure.
but
Well,
hilarious.
I saw him open for Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was making his first big comeback. This would be 91, 92, and he opened for Frank. And Frank, it was at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, and Frank had sold out most of the front area to all his relatives. They were all these old Italian people, like the first 30 rows. And we got some great tickets because we were working in TV and whatever. Me and Judd Apatow, the famous director, writer, and another couple of guys. And we went, and it was funny to see Don work because he did the whole thing. You know, can I use the C word? The color guy. You know, he's doing his thing. He's doing, and he's pointing. Look at the color guy's not laughing. There's not a black person in the entire audience, right? And he's doing his thing. Oh, you're wearing red. You're an idiot Mountie. There's no guy in red, but because they were all these old Italian friends of Frank,
Right.
And he has this audience participation bit where he brings somebody up from the audience. We were the only. The four of us young guys were the only guys that looked like he could get away with bringing him up on stage. So they brought Brad, one of the guys that were with us, and did the whole Japanese prisoner bit that he did. And we were just sitting there like, oh, my God, our friend's up there with Don Rickles. This is crazy. But the bigger thing is, like, every reference he had was not... a reference. He referenced the black guy, this guy, the Asian guy. There was nobody. But it was everyone laughing.
He was just dropping the needle on the record.
He
pretty
was.
much.
Well, that's what he did.
Yeah.
I mean, it just was he both of your one of your people that you looked to at the beginning of I really like this guy. I think because Richard Pryor and Rickles kind of not at the exact same time, but almost the same time, it put an edge on comedy that made it much better. I think. You agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't equate the two.
No, I
you know, I
understand
mean,
that.
Don Rickles was a generation older and was was a creature of the old, Ciro's like nightclub scene.
Ciro's. I haven't heard that in a while.
You know, and Richard Pryor, I think he sort of started out aspiring to be Cosby. His early
much
stuff
so.
was
Straight stand-up.
was very straight and and very accessible. And then, like Carlin, he kind of dropped out and came back and as a recreated, a version of themselves. I mean, Carlin recreated himself 4 times in his life.
Did he?
Yeah.
I only know the older stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he started out first of all as a team with Jack Burns.
Oh, he did.
And then
Jeez, I did
if
not
you
know
look,
that.
you can see a lot of TV
YouTube.
appearances.
YouTube.
If you go on YouTube and look, there's a ton
Everything's there.
where he was a very straight-laced comic for a
Totally
while.
straight-laced.
The hippy dippy weatherman was kind of his counterculture thing.
Yep.
But then he dropped out, came back as a true hippie, and then reinvented himself again in the 80s as sort of a yuppie, and it was all about wordplay and
The
you take
jumbo
your
shrimp
stuff.
thing?
Yeah,
The jumbo shrimp. Yeah.
Here's your stuff. Something's gonna foul inside a tomato.
Everything was just precious.
Yeah,
It
and
was.
then like the fourth thing was this angry old, more critic of humanity.
Yeah. Yep. I just
I don't want to break your bubble about Rickles, but I did read a history where he was just a regular comedian, barely making it, and he had watched these other guys in vaudeville and whatever was happening at the time, and the insult comedian was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Was a thing
Absolutely.
that he sort of all of a sudden adopted, and I guess a guy, because he got kind of famous with it early, and he was getting yelled at by all these other insult comedians, telling him that he stole the bit. But that was like a thing but he was great at it. I mean, he elevated it.
If he just would have known how to just say, I'm just sampling you.
I'm sampling, right?
Sampling.
Pay a couple of dollars. And
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because there are parts of my family because I've been on the air in town here for 50-some years and all the rest of it. The day I think it was the two of you and me went backstage and spent some time with Bill Cosby.
oh boy, how did
I
that work out?
know.
It was
I
not
loved
fun.
him.
Well, he was like a bajillion years old at that point.
Yes,
His
he
one
was.
eye
was-
went all,
yeah,
was
he
all
was-
out of kilter.
It was so weird though, because it was before he went on stage, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, how was he even upright when we were talking to him?" And then he went on stage and was just like so animated.
Turned
and
it
did
right
a
on.
great job.
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoa!"
That was at Mystic Lake, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was, and
There you
it
go.
wasn't even in the main area. He performed in some
He didn't
weird
do the
back
big. Well,
room.
this was post.
No, this was
No, it was before. We didn't know.
Pre the
Otherwise, I
Cosby.
wouldn't have brought my
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. I mean, he was one of the first comedians that I was even aware of.
Yeah, me
As a
too.
little kid, my brothers had his album.
Yeah.
My parents had Bill Cosby as a very funny fellow, right?
Yeah,
Noah
and
Superman.
Yeah,
and all
and
that.
when they left the house, they left a lot of their albums, and I was listening to them, and I was like, what was the Chicken Heart? that
Chicken
ate
Heart.
Chicken Heart that ate
the
New
thump,
York or
the
something.
thump.
Yeah, and
It's
all
getting
that.
closer. The thump, the thump.
Yeah, and the Noah's Ark thing,
Yeah.
40 cubits by 50 cubits. And
Right,
that was my
was on that
first
album.
time I
Yeah.
ever heard of a comedian.
Right.
Yeah.
What's a cubit?
Cuban. I forgot about the Cuban.
I have
yeah.
a great Cosby story though. My wife had a record deal. My wife's a singer and songwriter, and the guy who owned the record company that she was signed to is a guy named Artie Mogul. Literally, his
Oh,
name.
yeah. Yep.
And
Very Dickensian.
And Artie was like one of the great liar scoundrels of all time. We went to his funeral, and it was just like story after story about he lied to me, then he lied to me, then he lied to me, then he pulled it out at the last second. But it was like everyone. So he was in the early '60s. He was working as an A&R guy for Warner Brothers, and they sent him to go see this Cosby guy at a club. Mm. And he didn't go. He went and played cards or whatever he did, and he comes back the next day to the office. They go, "How's the Cosby guy?" And he goes, "Fantastic, beautiful. I can't believe how good he was." And then the guy goes, "Do you think it's a problem that he's black?" And Artie was like, didn't know if they were trying. They didn't know if they were trying to trick him or not. So he goes, "Didn't even notice."
Oh, that's tough to do.
And he was signed to Warner Brothers.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious. What a great story.
We'll take a quick break, come back, and close it out. Can you guys have 10 more minutes?
Sure.
I should be asking that before I commit 10 minutes of your time.
We got a
without
couple
it.
hours.
Well, there you go. Now we're talking. We'll be right back right after this, ladies and gentlemen. Twin Cities Online Summer Auction is going on now, starts today and ends next Thursday at 8 p.m. Visit scorenorth.com, enter keyword auction to view and bid on items. Save up to 70% off, Retail prices, tens of thousands of dollars in items up for grabs, like a zero-turn lawnmower, string trimmer, leaf blower, tri-state bobcat, electric bikes, a generator from EcoFun Motorsports, airport hotel stays at the Intercontinental, golf simulators, that'd be good, all-inclusive spa getaway at Buffalo Ridge Resort and Spa, garage storage systems from Gator Magnetics. It goes on and on. There's a lot of stuff happening down. Private golf lessons to up your game, aquatic weed removal for your lake, and more. Visit scorenorth.com and enter keyword auction to view, bid, and win, Click it, bid it, win it. Why pay full price when you can save 70%? The 51st, we got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. What, are you guys both hitting the road? Yep. Oh, look at you. They stay and you so you got pegged with something. All right, well, I'll see you later on this afternoon.
It was really good to see you guys.
Unbelievable. It all works out. The 51st Minnesota Street Rod Association's Back to the 50s weekend will again fill Minnesota State Fairgrounds with nearly 10,000 plus street rods, customs, classics, and restored vehicles, all dating from 1964 and earlier. Starts today, of course, runs through Sunday, June 22nd. Friday and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Minnesota State Fairgrounds in Falcon Heights. MSRA BackToThe50s.com. MSRA BackToThe50s.com is a magnificent thing, and thank you to everyone involved in it. You did a nice job. Just an example, today, 200-plus commercial vendors. Now, again, you have to remember, all the vehicles are from 1964 or before that time, which is pretty amazing. United States flag-raising ceremony. That went on this morning, as a matter of fact, but I want to mention that anyway. Military salute, flyover. That, again, this all went on this morning, so it's very, very good. Stop back out there. Back to the 50s weekend, June 20th through the 22nd at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. I love that fact that I go to commercial and all of a sudden the women are gone. What the hell is that all about? Typical, all the men left to clean up the mess.
That's right.
That's what you're saying. Do you think in some ways that to be really, really good at comedy, you've had to suffer a couple of times in your life?
I don't know. I don't either. If we just go with the premise that I was at some point really good at comedy, I don't think it came from suffering at all. I think it came from like living with really funny, very critical thinking, leaning people.
You might be a rarity, Josh.
It might be true. I mean, I'm not saying that comics aren't broken people as a general rule. But
like radio people aren't.
Right.
They're wonderful human beings. No,
but I don't think it's a prereq.
And the only reason I ask that, of course, is because of the George Carlins of the world and the Richard Pryors of the world. They all went through hell at some time in their lives, and it is pretty prevalent. And maybe they do need to laugh at themselves to get out of that mindset, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just. I think it's more the approval thing. I think it's more.
Yeah.
I think it's more the getting, like, there's, if you're wired a certain way. And even in my family, it's like there's no higher level of approval than laughter. You know?
Right.
And if you have a whole room full of people doing that, that can feed a lot of holes, I think.
Well, I suppose that's
But there's also the level. I mean, when you get to that stratosphere of these top guys,
Yep.
I think some of them are more faulted, the comedians, than, you know, your average working guy.
No, for sure.
You know,
I think
there's
so.
there's
I
something
mean, I
to
think
that, the great talent and great craziness, you know.
What's so interesting in this room and several other places before that, I've been in the business, like I said, 54 years now. I was trying to think of, there was one comedian that I always wanted to meet that I never got to, but I don't think that ever happened.
Yeah.
I got to meet because it would come through town and all the rest of it. And observing, you know, at where they were in their career at that time, and if they came back, they were bigger, smaller, whatever it was. It's interesting. I feel very lucky that I got to observe actors and comedians and things like that all these years and watch it go on. I gave an example at the beginning of this show that we went to a bingo thing for a little girl that was in here for her dance theater, and we went to play bingo and all the rest of it. And at the end of the night, I stood up and told the people, I said, I got to be honest with you, because if you've been, and you guys know this, you've been in your business, I've been in my business, most of the people you meet are very wealthy or very famous. And then on the second level of that are the people who want to be wealthy and want to be famous, all the rest of it. And to go into a room full of people who are just on a Thursday night playing bingo and having fun, that's something I don't feel very often.
Right.
Because you've been
regular
surrounded.
folk.
Regular folk, yeah.
Yeah.
You've been around them, I've been around them my whole life. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just a different way of looking at life.
Well, and it's so much, I think, you know, for so many of us, it was like our aspiration was to not be that.
Yeah,
You know,
I think that's true.
was to go live a quote unquote special life of some kind, whatever it was. But to me, it was like the idea of going to the same place every day, you know, putting on a suit and doing, you know, like that scared the hell out of me.
That wasn't happening.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, that was frightening.
That was frightening. Some people, they absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But at first I didn't understand what I was meaning. You know, to be around very famous people and very wealthy people all the time, it changes your perspective.
Well, I hang out with Josh most of the time,
so
so I don't have to worry
So you're good
about
to
that.
go.
Right, because I insulate myself from famous or wealthy. And you do it for
But
me.
we have a card game that Jill and I have been playing in for 35 years now or whatever, and the status of people at the table has risen and fallen.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and there's
Oh, yeah.
always been rich guys and poor guys at the table, and we've always played low stakes poker so that nobody felt like anyone was being bullied out of the game or.
But yeah, people's fortunes has risen and fallen and risen in that little group of friends.
Oh, God,
And everybody's
You
pretty
know,
cool.
some of them are like nice when they're working and asses when they're not. And, you know, it's
An example was just yesterday. I love the timing of life, and maybe it's observing life in a good way or something. But by coincidence, yesterday we were just talking about that. When I worked at Capitol Records, one of the big bands at that time was The Knack. Remember Get the Knack?
sure,
Of
my
course,
Sharona.
man.
And they came through town.
Doug Feiger.
Nice guy. Doug Feiger, very good. That's
I wouldn't have got that.
That's very good. But at the time, I never thought of this, but the band was in their mid-20s, and Sharona was 17. And she was with them on the road.
Really?
And I remember meeting Sharona for the first time, and I didn't know she was only 17. What an asshole. Just, I mean, way over the top.
Well,
She
You're
became a
17.
real estate agent in
Yeah,
LA.
she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that now she's a real estate agent
Yep.
in Florida. That's exactly right.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you're 17,
Yes.
you get a famous song written after you, you're going to get a complex.
Right.
There's just no avoiding it.
I think that's very, very true. But it's, I suppose, how you, and she must have changed a lot because maybe there are some big prick sales real estate people. I
There
don't
are.
know. Maybe,
Yes, there are.
Oh, sure. I mean, the statistics would bear that out.
Well, I mean, The Simpsons did a whole bit about, real estate agents being cutthroat.
Yeah.
You stay out of the west side of Springfield.
I
Kwan.
suppose.
Well, every other actress in L.A. also has their real estate license.
I suppose, yeah.
I heard a statistic. I want to verify it, but I heard that there are more realtors than there are houses for sale.
I would believe
And
that.
I would not doubt it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Especially since boomers just won't sell anymore.
Yeah, that's probably true. That is probably true.
I just saw a thing today that, a huge percentage of boomers are just like, nope, we're staying.
Yeah,
I
that's,
mean,
I understand.
why not, right? You're paid off. Stay in there.
Money's very expensive right now to do it again.
So your times tonight and tomorrow again are
7 and 9:30.
7 and 9:30. I used to always do that myself, and for some reason, I always said 7:30 and 9, which makes no sense.
No.
They
We're
changed
gonna
for
do-
years. It was 8. For years it was 8 and 10:30.
8 and 10:30.
Yeah,
But
that's what it was when I worked at the House of Comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so much better.
Oh,
as
it's
a
so much
comic,
nicer.
as a comic, taking that extra hour of tired and drunk off that second
Oh,
show
yeah.
is
Yeah.
so helpful.
Yeah, Wall Street
big
Journal
deal.
in March of 2021, they reported there were more real estate agents than homes for sale in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not a great time to get your real estate license.
Makes it a tough life.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys understand how grateful I am that you came in.
It's
this
so
morning.
good to see
Our
you. I just
pleasure,
realized
man.
this
Our
is
pleasure.
I am talking to you in the 5th decade that we've talked now.
50 years.
Not 50 years, but started
Well,
in the
yeah,
80s.
that's true.
Starting.
40, 41 at least.
But I started. I was 16. I'm 54 now.
You were 16. I do remember
Yeah.
that. God damn it. Honest to God, you were 16
I was
years
16
old.
the first time I was on KQ with you.
Oh, my God. Tom doesn't bring it up, so you do.
I was just yeah, exactly. Who knows?
Exactly right.
I remember. I just remembered coming here when playing golf with you and Jeff Cesario at Brookview.
Cesario. Oh, yeah. At Brookview?
At Brookview,
How the hell did you ever
yes.
get to me to go to Brookview?
I don't know.
That's not an easy thing to pull off these days.
1990 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, he. I haven't seen Cesario in a while. He okay?
Yeah, he's good.
He's doing good. We had
glad
lunch
to
with
hear
him
that.
or breakfast not too long ago. Yeah.
I think Jeff avoids calling me now because he introduced me to Steve Gorman, who's the guy who stole my job at KQ.
Oh,
But I mean, I was 37 years into it. I was going pretty soon anyway. And I don't, if you see Jeff, I don't blame him for it.
Okay.
Well, Steve Gorman is one of the biggest pricks I've ever met in my life. But I knew that the day I met him.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever meet him?
I remember that name, but I can't put a face on it.
He got kicked out of the Black Crows. How bad he got to be to get kicked out of the Black
Wow.
Crows?
Yeah, that's how I know the name.
Yeah, that's how you know it. That's exactly right. But yeah, if you see Jeff, tell him he didn't upset me at all.
right.
Tell him,
Always
baby,
enjoyed
come
it.
back. You can blame it all on me.
Fellas, thank you so much for coming in.
Great to see you, Tom.
Thank you,
It just-
Tom.
It makes my weekend. This is the way I want to kick off my weekend.
Excellent.
Right here. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
We'll talk to you guys on Monday.
All right.
Oh, actually, before we do that,
Oh,
I mean, I guess the two comedians can leave if they wish, but we have to announce our winner of the giveaway this week.
oh, that's a good idea.
Jack's Cafe, the giveaway to this week's winner is W. Bernard Butler on X. So if that's your handle, then check your DMs, email us, and we will get you your $100 gift card for Jack's Cafe.
Maybe somebody in my family was a Bernard that was a Butler. That all worked out pretty well.
Maybe it's the same guy.
Nice.
Probably not. That'll do it. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.